those guys could explain the rainbow to you. You know, it's like Mr. Science Squared. Anybody else? Amazing cases. Just think about it. You know, and you know, if you have a Apple, no, not Apple, a PC computer, and you have Microsoft, they like to put a picture up there someplace, right? And some of those, and you ever look at it and go, I've been there. My backyard. That was, what's that?
Bryce Canyon.
Bryce. Yeah. Man, we've been with us for a long time. What did you say? Disney World. Yeah, okay. The built world. I should have said excluding the built world. Yes, sir. Oh, you just put your sleeve out there. You can't do that. You know, if you were at an auction, you would have just bought a bunch of cows. Can't flinch. All right. Susan? Times Square. Okay. That's a very built environment. But it is kind of lots of lights and what have you. I want to get personal. So I was fortunate to go spend some time working with the U.S. Embassy in Palau, which is tropical islands, you know, and therefore the shirt this morning, Alan's got it. Yeah. Anyway, and Bill, he's not wearing Hawaiian. What's up?
Yeah, even that.
But he's got a tie. Looking good. And it's just incredible what creation, you know, the blue water and the, you know, the turquoisey water and the jungle and all of that stuff in the wild. But let's get a glimpse of heaven. It's far better than anything you've ever seen or experienced. And it's hard for us to relate to that. But first off, a little bit of background. Who wrote Revelation? John. Yeah. And why did he write Revelation? Yeah, doing what he was told to. But the exciting thing, I think, of why he was doing it was to tell us the outcome of all of this big of life, of what God has been doing and what we can look forward to. I think it's made, you know, to give us some ease. But one of the things that's interesting to me, until I really studied Revelation, I was kind of afraid of Revelation. Because there's some wild apocalyptic language in there, and I really don't like fantasy, but there's a lot of that in Revelation. You know, the four horsemen of the apocalypse and all this stuff, and the lamb that was slain, and you know, it's all. But there's also some really amazing imagery, and I think the thing to walk away from is that God wins, and He wins decisive. And we are the benefactors of that. Okay? So let's take a look at Revelation chapter 21, verses 1 through 5. I need someone who's a really good reader to read that for us. Verses 1 through 5. I want you to listen to every word. Yeah, go ahead. It's on you.
Revelation chapter 1, or 21, verse 1, starting. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more, neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away. And he said, who was seated on the throne said, Behold, I am making all things new. Also he said, Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true.
Okay. So we've all seen that before. We've all heard that. What's in there that excites you? Yes?
No more sea. I find the ocean a little overwhelming, having been, in
Yeah. What did you say? No more ocean, that's what you're looking forward to?
One of the things, yeah, just little streams and, oh, we get to be in the garden, I hope.
Yeah. Well, you know, some people, and even in this room, that like to go to the coast and look at the ocean and the power, but it's different when you're out on it, right? And you're in the, you know, what do they call it, the harmonic convergence or the Bermuda Triangle or whatever. Yeah, it's a little daunting. What else is in there that excites you, you look forward to? Casey?
Well, it looks like we're kind of back to the Garden of Eden, and that God is dwelling with men who live.
That's a
It's kind of
good,
enticing.
yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Is we're back to being in an intimate relationship with God. Kathy?
More death, dying, crying, pain.
All the junk that we fear the most is not going to be there. You know, you ever seen those little, you crank them up and the clown pops out? None of those. They won't be there. Nothing scary, no more pain, no more. And we'll just be in this intimate relationship with God. We've gone full circle from the garden. I like thinking about it like that. How God is. I want to go back to what I initially. Go ahead.
When that lady said the Disney World, I thought, I love
Oh,
Disneyland.
hold that thought. The world wants to hear you.
I was thinking, yeah, I like Disney World and Disneyland, and one of the things I like about it is it's so clean. There's no trash. Everything is like perfect. And I always think, you know, here, when you're not in Disney World, there's weeds, there's trash, there's junk, there's dead tree limbs, there's just stuff. Our world's so dirty.
Yeah.
And I always think, because this is the fallen world, when we get to heaven, there's not going to be those little guys going around picking up all those things, because it's not going to be.
It won't be fallen. I mean, we think about ourselves and fallen, but everything's fallen. The plants,
Yeah.
you know, it's just going to be
Yeah.
so enjoyable that I'm not going to have to sit there and go, I really need to get that dandelion over there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just,
You'll have room to think about other.
exactly.
That's
Oh, yeah,
good.
Mark, chiggers.
All right, yeah, chiggers. So one thing about, we were in Arkansas, they have bugs. I mean, can you see these bites on the back of my arm? I mean, I just got attacked. It's all feverish and swollen, and I start itching. That's why. Anybody else? What else is in here? Everything new. Nothing like sitting in a brand new car, right? You know, what would a brand new world smell like? No sewage, no air pollution, clear day, beautiful. One of our favorite, I don't know if I guess it's a movie, is Camelot, right? You know, in there they talk about, you know, the leaves just disappear. Heaven will be like that. So, okay. But let's think about these words. Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people. And God himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore. For former things have passed away. I'm making all things new. I mean, can you imagine? I don't think we can imagine a world that's not fallen. All of our experience, all of the things that we've seen and done in our lives has been in a fallen world. You know, just thinking about all, you know, in physics, back to science guys, you think about entropy. There's this incredible God-made order, and then it's all tending towards disorder, right? Our world it's just fallen apart. And we can see that. Yet God made it so that we can dwell here. We can extract resources. We can live here. But it's temporary. It's going to make it new. It's not going to wear out. And you won't have to get a new fridge every 5 years. And you won't have to, I mean, things were just going to be different. I think it's hard for us to think like that. Um, Okay, so the text here has a question. I'd like to, how can we also be in the business of renewing and restoring in this life? What can we be doing? What's our role? Laura Lee?
Daily prayer, worship, and being in the Word. That's what helps me.
I think part of that is, Roland's next, is anticipating, even now, what that relationship is like, and walking with God and being close. And one of the things I've been contemplating a lot lately is making space for God in my life. We only have so much space, and we fill it up with stuff, and then God gets squeezed down to this little bit. And I don't want to be there. I want to have room for God. This is why I was created. Go ahead, Roland.
I think as believers, we have to point to the one who sits on the throne and giving hope to those who don't see that. This is a vision for the believers because we know the end of the story, but not everybody does. They've heard rumors of it, and sometimes they think it's a zombie apocalypse. Well, it's not. God sits on the throne. We are his children, so our role, point with hope. Those people who are seeking to the one who sits on the throne.
And if you think, and part of what I want to do this morning is bring it all the way back around to what our purpose is and what our mission is and what God and what Christ has asked us to do. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was going to say,
You're
I think
next.
we need to get out of the mindset of, so the new heaven and the new earth also, we know the temple was destroyed, and God's kingdom was established as a spiritual kingdom at that time as well. And if we get out of the mindset of living in a physical kingdom and then more in the mindset of we live in the spiritual kingdom now, we live in the new heaven now in a sense. And so we have to focus on the fact that we are kingdom living, so we're that example now on earth always. And instead of looking for a future date, that we live like we live in it now, because we're going to have to live in it then. How are we going to be accepted in the future if we don't live like that now? So that mindset of we are part of that kingdom now.
Yeah. Well, that's right. And I think to add on to that, and John over here. Right here. Oh, not John. John, sorry. John number 1. Go ahead.
When you talk about renewal, it always takes me to Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, because that's really what this is about. It says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God and what is good and acceptable and perfect. That doesn't happen overnight.
No.
It's a lifetime to do this.
Right.
So it's a constant thing we have to work on.
Well, and it's not a punishment. It's a reward. It's living in the grace and in the presence of God now. It's that you talked about the kingdom is here. It is. And yet, how are we participating in it? Or it's a second thought, or is it our first thought? Is it something that we actively pursue? We sit there and think about it, or do we think about it late at night when we don't have time to think about it? I mean, I don't know. It's got to be a part of the way we think and the way we live. And I want to come back to this point to ask the question about renewal. I think it is, we have to be thinking about what we're doing here. And what I'm thinking is sharing the good news of Jesus. It's not okay that people are not going to spend eternity with God if we have anything to say or do about it. We need to be about kingdom work and sharing the good news of Jesus. We'll talk about that then. Go ahead, Al.
You're talking about having your being full up with things. Paul made a big point of putting to death things that we need to get out of our lives. And Jesus told the parable about the guy with the 7 demons that were cast out. And they came back and they found the place all nice and tidy and swept, but nothing good was left in there. So they brought more demons and habitated. So when we do put those things to death, we need to be careful to put something good in its place.
But when we make room for God, let's put God in there versus something else. I hope we can talk some more about this, because this is something that's really on my mind a lot. Is maybe it has to do with my age, maybe it has to do with the events of last week too, knowing that we're mortal. Our time is limited. Go ahead, Susan.
Well, the last church retreat at Kiwanis, and when we came back, I actually renew and restore my faith, but now you bring it back up. The reason why I go to these retreats with Nancy and the church is because I want to get to know myself besides others. But when I came back that first retreat with Casey's book, and the first word came to my mind was amazing. Casey was amazing.
Yeah.
He was great in everything. But now this time, I changed my entire lifestyle. And now I'm ready to do again, renew, refresh, and restore my faith all over again for the very first time ever.
I think what Susan said with the renewal, a lot of people feel renewal after retreats. You know,
Oh,
we
yeah.
have these
Oh, yeah.
moments of where,
Yeah.
you know, that's a big theme,
Yeah.
of getting away, the mountaintop experience
Yeah.
and sort of thing,
Yeah.
you know. But she definitely said that after
And
that.
so we got to ask ourselves, why is that? How does that happen? You know, and part of that is that you've stepped out of your busy life, you've taken a pause. And having a pause gives you time or the solitude to reflect. And hopefully, I want to make another point. We're not on this journey alone. I'm on this journey with you. You are my family. And, when we're away, we miss you a lot. We have another family in Arkansas that's just as amazing, but we miss this family too, and we're not alone in this. So this is where we need to encourage each other while we still have time. We need to be about some of the deeper things besides Raider football, OSU sport. Now I'm getting on dangerous ground here, right? Okay, yeah, Lake of Fire, yeah. Okay, yeah, hit some sense of, but you see, and I appreciate what you said, Susan, that there are times we have these sort of mountaintop experiences, and it's pulled us out of our life, and but how can we do that more often? How can we do that on a daily basis? Anyway, something to think about. Let's keep reading. Let's go to Revelation chapter 21. Now let's look at verses 22 to 27. Somebody, I can read it, but I got to get my other glasses. I am falling apart. Go ahead. Yeah, thanks.
I did not see a temple in the city, because the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are its temple. The city does not need sun or moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it light, and the Lamb is its lamp. The nations will walk by its light, and the kings of the earth will bring their splendor into it. On no day will the gates ever be shut, for there will be no night there. The glory and honor of the nations will be brought into it. Nothing impure will ever enter it, nor will anyone who does what is shameful or deceitful, but only those whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life.
So there's some heavy imagery. Let me ask you this. Why did the people of Israel need a temple? Okay, one idea. Sacrifices. Go ahead. Yeah, it's where God was present. right? And they could go there and be basically close to his presence. In heaven, there will be no temple. Because, as it says here, where does it say? Because Jesus they will be present, and we will be able to worship and be with them as in the garden in the beginning. But it makes some comments too. For example, there's no light. There is light there. It never gets dark. That'll be interesting.
He also did not want the temple in Jerusalem because of how people would react to it. Because you see it here, the sheriff is in Corvallis, but if you're out in Alsea, in the hills, the sheriff ain't here. And so I can see that if you're living in Jerusalem, the Lord is here. But if you're living in Dan, well, it's way down there.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's more of a, if I don't want to be around law and order, I'll go out into the, okay. Well, one of the things that you think about is being in his presence is that it'll be sustainable, it'll be exactly what we want, how we were wired in the beginning of time. It'll be different than what we experienced here. No sunrise, no sunset, but we're always going to be in the presence of God. Sometimes it's hard, it's overwhelming for me to think about and imagine. But it's better than the Grand Canyon, than Yellowstone, and all of it. But one of the things it says in verse 27, but nothing unclean will ever enter. Only those whose name is written in the book of life. And I think one of the things we want to be certain is that our names are written in the book of life. The Lamb's book of life. Okay. That's the one that matters. Okay. So Jesus' last sermon is in Matthew 25. And in there he gives 3 examples. I'll just go there real quick because I think it's important that we think about what was important to Jesus, so important that this is the last message he gave. So we're familiar with these 3 parables. One is the parable of the 10 virgins, and the real message from that is watching and being ready. Anticipating the end and preparing and being ready. And the ones that were ready had oil in their lamps. So when the bridegroom, which is Jesus, returns, he's ready. We want to be those virgins with the oil in our lamp, ready for Jesus' return. The second parable is about the parable of the talents. God has gifted each of us in different ways and different amounts, and he expects us to use it for his purpose. Now, Nancy and I were debating this. Not debating. I always win. That's not a debate. But she was saying that I was teetering on deeds. So you're saying you earn your salvation? No, that's not what I'm saying. It's like James. You show me your faith without deeds, and I'll show you a faith that's dead. And so what I'm saying is that we have this kind of faith. It compels us. Christ's love compels us to do things. And in this case, God's given us talents. He expects us to do. And we talked about renewing life here. We're renewing life in others by showing and loving them. And then he talks about the sheep and the goats. And he makes a separation. Goats left. And it's interesting because you know how you one of our purposes in spending time in Arkansas is to be impactful in our grandchildren's lives for Christ. We want them to be Christ followers. And so, you live your life, and how do you do this? And it was good because, this verse, it says, he says things like, I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me, and I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. So we were on a bike ride with our grandkids, which we're trying to also impact their lives for cycling. And so we were riding along, and we rode by this family, it was a mom and dad and a boy, and I rode right by him, and Nancy goes, "Did you see he was having bike trouble?" And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, his pedal was off of his bike." And I always carry tools. Actually, I let Nancy carry the tools. It makes her stronger, right? Okay, I won't go there. Anyway, I said, we can help them. Let's turn around and go back. And yeah, the kid's pedal had come off for whatever reason. I had the tools, put it all back together again. So when we're reading these verses that say, I was in prison, you came to me, I was sick, and my pedal came off and you helped me. I say that to the grandkids, they go, "Oh, I see how that connects." And so these are the kinds, and I know you're that kind of people. Last night, we got in late, and I don't get me going on Southwest Airlines. They're not my favorite today. And we could leave from Eugene, but we couldn't get back to Eugene, so we came to Portland, and we had to take a shuttle. And our shuttle pickup people were out of town. So I called on your brother Eric Brock, who picked us up at 9 o'clock last night. I know. But this is the kind of people you are. I know you are. And the thing is, what motivates you to do this, it's the love of God. It's the point of renewing and sharing that blessing of being God's people with others. We want others to go to heaven too. It's, we have an idea of what love is, and we have an idea of what hate is, but indifference is bad. From the standpoint of not caring for people's feelings. Tim, you can't stop this. We're on a roll, man. He's telling him to go ring the buzzer. It's like getting out the hook. All right, we got one more section to look at. Told you. Okay, Revelation chapter 22. I'll go ahead and read this, verses 1 through 5. Then the angel showed me the river of the water of life, as clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and the Lamb down the middle of the great street of the city. On each side of the river stood a tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, yielding its fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nation. No longer will there be any curse. The throne of God and the Lamb will be in the city, and the servants will serve him. They will see his face, and his name will be on their foreheads. There will be no more night. They will not need the light of a lamp or the light of the sun, for the Lord God will give them light, and they will reign forever and ever. Again, it sort of completes the picture that you think about what's going to be sustaining us, talking about the river of life. And, I'll look forward to seeing these trees that have a different crop every month. Mangoes and papaya and avocados. Who knows? Whatever it is, it's going to be sustaining. It's going to be amazing. And I just think of this imagery of us living in the presence of God and being with God, and being close to him. And it's going to be so different, but it's something that we can look forward to, something that we should be desiring and we should be thinking about. And I don't have a great picture in my mind, but John's imagery really helps us look forward to it. And so sometimes when you're thinking about why are we doing all of this, it's hard. There are times when it's daunting, when people we love die, and you sit there and think, where's God in all of it? He's still here. He hasn't forgotten about it. I love the first verses that talk about heaven with no tears, no pain, no suffering, no death. It's hard to imagine a world where we have so much fear and angst. You know, you think about being in big cities, there's certain parts of town you don't want to go to. There won't be any of that in heaven. You want to go to all the parts. You want to be there. And so I guess kind of wrapping up, when we think about where we have come, when we started in the garden, we've been through the people of Israel, we've been through the prophets, we've been through the restoration, we've been to Jesus, the perfect Lamb, laying it all out there for us, pointing the way. Now we come to the end. This is what we have to look forward to. And it's something that's very exciting. And I just want to encourage you with those words. And I just open it up. Anybody else like to add or subtract? Tim?
Look at all the warriors that have gone on before us and get to look forward to this before I do. I mean, it talks about a street of gold. Have you ever touched gold?
Yeah.
Other than a wedding band?
Silicone.
Silicone. I mean, it's just, there's so much value placed on gold,
Yeah.
a whole street of gold,
Yeah.
and then heaven. And
Yeah.
now we're talking fruit. And verse 5 says, everything's going to be made new in chapter 21. And it's like, there might be fruit we've never even had before.
Yeah.
And you mentioned papaya and all this other stuff. Yummy stuff, but I'm sure there's much more to come.
What was your opening word? You said how many people have gone before us?
Look how many people have gone before us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, grandparents.
Yeah. Loved ones.
Loved ones.
Yeah.
Some that are just hurting and aching, and
Yeah.
they're in no more pain.
I know.
No more suffering.
You you just have to think about it like that. But the good thing is going to be not only seeing people we love, but it being in the presence of God. That's the overwhelming blessing. And that's hard for us to relate to, because we relate to this. All right. Yes? All right, last final shot here.
When you mentioned completely pictured, my dad was a photographer at a volunteer job, and I go with him. And he takes a lot of pictures of like sunsets, different kinds of flowers and everything. And he turned to me and said, one day this is going to be your volunteer job to take over.
Yeah. How sweet. Okay. All right, so next week a new quarter begins, yes? Be in Psalms. Oh, that'll be rich. So make time for God this week and keep making time for him and encourage someone else. It's easy to discourage someone, but let's be about encouraging, helping each other walk the walk. All right. Thanks, you guys. Oh, I got to say hi to my dad. Hi, Dad. And Debbie.
Testing, testing. Testing. Check, check, check. I didn't test the headset yet.
Check, check.
Okay. I don't tend to do that myself. I know. Maybe I do subconsciously.
Hello, hello.